I'm Brenda Trott. I am your host for the Pajama Party Profit Show, and I am playing the part today with my warm, comfy robe because it is a chill here anytime it's under 70 degrees in East Texas, where I'm from. So I'm going to play the role of making money in your sleep or profiting from home. That's what we're about today. Before we get started with our first guest, I'm going to let you know that the holidays are coming up and I've got you. I have created a macro balanced cookbook. It's called Less Cooking, More Eating. You can find it on Amazon for only $2.99. So go over there and save yourself a whole lot of trouble. Pick up that book and send me an email. Let me know that you did. All right, today we have Lisa Morgan. She's an expert in amnesia and soul fracturing. And her paradigm for the stress response illuminates 6 instead of 3. Friend, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, flop, and fracturing. And she says saved her life. So here today to tell us more about that is Lisa. Welcome, Lisa.
Yay, I love pajama parties.
When was the last time I've been to
All
one? It's
right.
been a long
Well,
time.
welcome to the party.
Thank you for having me, Brenda.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So this show is really about inspiring others to work from home. So I'd love for you to tell us, I have a feeling this is not your first domain, right? How did you actually get started working for yourself?
Well, actually, my first career was music therapy. And I worked in the general hospitals, and the first hospital for 10 years, building music therapy from nothing, absolutely nothing, to from scratch, taking it hospital wide, even into labor and delivery, music therapy, assisted childbirth. I had my 3 kids with my music therapy, but I worked out of the psychiatric and the chemical dependency units for the biggest part. And then the second hospital was in the psych units and stress management unit and all that kind of stuff. And I walked away from 2 downsizing hospitals that were toxic, corporate, just killing my soul. I walked away after the first one, and after the second one, I lasted 6 more years there, and I said, I will never be an employee again, ever, ever, ever. And that started my entrepreneurial career, 1996, and I became sort of a contract music therapist doing music fun shops and very experiential, creative, team building kinds of music-based, music choreographed activities to help people just be creative and have fun and connect and try crazy things. The crazier I could make it, the better. The more fun, laughter, it was all about that. But that came from the psych and the chemical dependency units, where I just wanted them to laugh. I wanted them to feel alive when they weren't under the influence of drugs or whatever. And I just took it on and carried it through. And I'm actually like revisiting the whole thing and merging now my music therapy fun shop with my coaching modality, which is all about positive psychology and empowerment and resiliency, and putting the two together. And I'm actually going to start trying to take it out into Albuquerque. I moved here 8 years ago, so this would be merging music therapy and coaching into a really positive psychology and transformational
You
program.
warmed my heart with one phrase. Like it just popped right out because this is my theme. This has been my theme for a whole year, and I'm not ready to change it. The more fun I have, the more money I make. And when I remember that, that's what happens. So what you said about your music therapy was bringing in that creativity, bringing in the fun. And so as you're doing things, have you found that to ring true? I'm sure it wasn't all, oh, I'm going to be my own. This is the story that we hear, and we're going to dig just a little bit deeper under there. We hear this a lot. I decided I was never going to work for somebody alone or again. And all of a sudden I'm a billionaire. It doesn't always work quite like that way, right? There's some things that trip us up. Okay. Oh my gosh. Now I can't just wake up, go punch in a card and get paid. I get to generate that income myself. But even if it's not the one thing, you find that the creativity has brought you to more things and then to merge everything that we have. Am I on the right track here?
Yes and no. I actually lived my first 50 years with exuberance, vitality, joy, passion, adventure, fun, creativity, full self-express, travel, you name it, music therapy. And then when I walked away from the two hospitals and I said I'll never be an employee again, 4 years later, when I decided, okay, now I want to try to get back out in the world, but I can't go back to be an employee. So I got to figure out the next step. And the minute you become an entrepreneur, it's like you're putting yourself out on the world stage naked. You're all alone. You're exposed. You're vulnerable. And all the, can I say SHIT? All the stuff inside of you that is buried down under in the subconscious just gets triggered, and it just like rises up, and that's why people get stuck when they want to become an entrepreneur and they're on their own and they're putting themselves out there and they're naked and exposed and vulnerable. All their buried insecurities, doubts, programming, the subconscious programming, the things that happen from birth on, it gets
Absolutely.
triggered.
You and I
And
met
that's
through a certification
so-
program. We take people through that process and realizing exactly where they're stuck. Absolutely, that just rings a bell. It's not just the physical thing that we know about, the conscious part that we know about. We're like, oh man, right? You just push through it. That's what all the gurus say. Just push through it. But there's something like innate that is a physical barrier to getting that stuff done. So getting able to work around or to dissolve that is even better. Yeah, awesome.
And I just want to add, mindset mastery and more strategies do not cure this. We're talking about deeply embedded nervous system programming, which is what fear and procrastination and avoidance and holding back and playing small, all those variations, self-sabotage, that is nervous system programming. And that's what's been missing in coaching. I mean, I've spent thousands, I hate to say how many thousands and thousands of dollars on coaching programs since 2002. And they never addressed that. And then you beat yourself up and think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I make this happen? Why am I afraid? Why am I pulling back? Whatever. And it's not your brain. It's not your brilliance. It's not your history, your career path. It's the programming that's living in the nervous system that took root. And we got to get down to
So,
healing that.
Lisa, tell me, how are people finding you as the answer to these problems?
You mean like finding me online, or finding me, what I do is helping them?
Yeah, I
Or
mean, that's
what
when
exactly
we're
do you
being
mean?
an entrepreneur, right? So we can even talk about what it was when you did the music therapy on your own. When you left the hospital, I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to do my own workshops. Like, that's probably the biggest question people wake up with is, how do I get my customers? How do I get my clients? So how did it work for you? How did people find you?
Well, the music therapy, the fun shops that I did, I lived in St. Louis for 40 years, and I networked. When I became the entrepreneur, the music fun shops just sort of flowed from my years in the hospitals and the connections I had. And I was in women's networking organizations, and I would offer, this for one of their mini conventions or whatever. And I was doing music therapy conventions as well, and I was doing presentations at conventions and stuff like that. So I was really well known in St. Louis for music therapy. I was like the real leader in the field there. So those opportunities were there. But when I shattered in 1999 and literally my body was just overtaken by panic and anxiety, and I was just like struggling to figure out what the heck was going on with me, inside of me. And I've never had so much debilitating, just dysfunctional, debilitating depression and dis-ease, and just, I mean, it was just the worst thing I've ever been through. And it was nonstop all the time. And at that point, I was like, I don't know what's going on in me, but I'm going to figure it out. And I knew, I always said that I'm not living in the past, but the past is living in me. And I don't know what it is that's going on down there, because I lived for 50 years with extreme success, and then all of a sudden, bam, I'm just like derailed. And because I'd worked in psychiatry, I said, I will never pursue traditional talk therapy psychiatry. I don't want to be labeled. I don't want to be drugged out. I don't want, I knew that I knew what I already knew, and it was what I didn't know that I knew I had to
Say
figure
that
out.
3 times
So I was
real
on a
fast.
mission and a quest. I knew what I already knew, but it was what I didn't know that I
I
had to
love it.
figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I was on a quest, and I just instinctively knew that it was about my body. It was about something buried inside of me, and energy psychology, energy medicine, energy healers, psychics healers, therapists, coaches galore, but all kinds of energy things. I tried everything, and shamans. I mean, I really pulled out the stops. And that's the amnesia and the soul fracturing. What I ultimately came to was that I have lived with 100% total amnesia about my past. And horrific, I have had a horrific life, and amnesia protected me from ever having to see the things that I lived through. Starting in the womb and the minute I was born, and for 50 years, my father, it was extreme, the atrocities. I lived through atrocities. And I still do not see the memories, have a visual image in my mind of the things that I now know I lived through. And that's still protecting me. That's the soul fracturing. That's the soul parts that came into being when I was enduring something that was so horrific, so overwhelming to a child's system, that your soul fractured part comes into being, holds that memory away from your consciousness, stores it away. And they still hold those things. And my parts speak. If people have heard of multiple personality or internal family systems parts, my parts are all, I only have one name, and that was Lovey, my 5-year-old, actually a nickname that my mother gave me. And she was my joy child. And I now know that literally the divine, God, source, whatever, which we are a human being, we're a spiritual being having a human experience. So we are human ego, but we are divine sparks of the divine source energy, divine energy. And these soul parts are literally living in me, as me, through me. They still talk, they channel now. They literally not just live in the past and reveal the things I lived through, but they give me messages from the divine. They're teaching me. They even come into my coaching sessions, because I'm pretty out there and open with my clients, and they know that being real and being raw and being truthful and honest is the name of the game, where we are not judged. We are just being human. And they come out and they'll say something like, Lisa, this is for you, but it's for Susie Q too. I got to tell you something. This is for both of you. And then they reveal something. And my mind is always, are they really going to say something that I don't know? And they do. It's like they are channeling.
So how did you?
And it's such a gift.
So what you're saying is that you kind of crashed, and then you had to get yourself out of that crash, and that inspired you to help others do the same.
Well, I actually, because I had done this program called the Landmark Education Forum, it was the first time, 1996, I heard the word coaching being used. And the master of ceremonies had a microphone, and if you wanted to raise your hand, you'd stand up, they'd give you a microphone. She'd walk to you, you'd be talking, and then all of a sudden she'd be right in your face, and she'd say, Lisa, will you take the coaching? I'm like, whoa, what's that? Take the coaching. Okay. Anyway, that really, that whole program was all about my first introduction to coaching. And so when I crashed and burned and was like, struggling, I was watching Oprah every day, and she was featuring coaches, Dr. Phil, Cheryl Richardson, Ivana Zyland, or however you say her name. They were all coaches, and I thought, coaching, I wonder if I could do coaching. And I went online, found the International Coach Academy in Sydney, Australia, signed up, and that started my whole next path. And the coaching program I was in, the way you got started was when you were the beginner coach, you were being coached by the 3 or 6 month coaches, in training. And then when you hit the 6-month mark, you started coaching the new people coming into the program. And the guy I coached continued with me for a year afterwards. He started paying me after our time was up. He continued to be my client. And I don't know how, I think it was really networking, being out in the public eye and continuing with those groups that I was in. Now I wasn't Lisa the fun shop lady or Lisa the linen lady. I got into an MLM business that was private quarters, which was luxury linens. But so I was Lisa the linen lady, but then I became the coach and just continued that path. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we're going to pause
people,
for just a second because
connect.
we are at a party. And what is a party
Oh, yes.
without a game? So, here's how this one works. Are you ready? No, because you don't know how it works.
Yeah.
I'm always ready for a game.
I'm going to write down some words, and I will give them to you one at a time, and we'll see if you can figure out how they're related. They're in a category. All right. I haven't played this one on Pajama Party Profit, so if it goes bust, it goes bust. But we're gonna see. I just have to write them down real quick. So,
You really are.
I really
This on the
am.
spot.
Okay, this is fun.
I only have 3, but I know that there's 2 more. So, the first one is air.
Okay.
So, what category do you think it is?
Oh, a category. Airtime, radio.
It's not
I don't know,
time, but that was
broadcast.
a very good. That was a very good guess. All right, the next one is feather.
Light as a feather, air and feather, lightness.
Yep,
They
they're
go
in the same
together, right?
category.
Same category, feather and air. Guess I need one more.
Okay, I have all 5. The other one is hair.
Well, they all have air, feather, hair, air. I don't know. They sound alike. When your hair is light as a feather in the air, I don't. Something
You're
shampoo.
on the right track. The next one is dog.
Dog. I don't. This is hysterical. This is really funny. A dog groomer. To give them grooming
But an
and
air
get
groomer?
all their air groomer.
All right,
Dog,
here's the last
feather,
one. This
hair,
should tell
and
you.
Dog.
Ready? Paint.
Paint. I mean, paint.
When I tell you, you're gonna be like, ah.
Airbrushing.
You did it! Woohoo! Let's put hands in the air because you and I both teach our clients to celebrate, right? So celebrate, you got it. Woo! I used to have little buttons. We'll see if we can get those back. Yay!
Oh God. That is really
And
funny.
this is a reminder to
brush.
our watchers and
We are
our
brushing.
listeners. Always take 1 minute a day and find something to laugh about. I love that Lisa said, this is fun. This is hilarious. Was she succeeding? No. Was it still fun? It was. She was laughing and succeeding. So yay. And celebrate.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. I mean, I was so mystified, which is fun. I love that.
Awesome. All right, Lisa, you have a gift for people who are watching today who also might have something that's stopping them from being an entrepreneur. Do you want to go ahead and tell us what that's about, why they would want it, and where to find it?
So I do. It's called an ebook, and you can get it at my website, which I can share with you. But it's called "Anxiety and Panic Are Not the Problem; They're Only the Messenger," and it's 7 trauma-informed master keys to soothe the nervous system, upgrade the belief code, and reclaim your empowerment energy. So trauma is like the word of the day, right? I mean, everybody's walking around feeling stressed. I'm so traumatized or whatever. And that's all nervous system programming. And it does stop us. It does. And there are ways to intervene. And if you've been dealing with anxiety the way I did, that the panic and anxiety can be so debilitating. I want people to stop suffering. And this does have really concrete ways to intervene when you're in the moment, feeling anxious. Things that you can do right here, right now for yourself. The 7 trauma-informed
So they're going to be able
keys
to kind
to
of
help
take a
soothe your
self-assessment
nervous
by
system.
reading this book and kind of figure out what they need help in what area.
It's it's an ebook. So yeah, I mean it sets it up. It gives a little bit of my story to explain why I'm so passionate about this and why we really want to help people stop suffering with this. And then it goes into very specific types of things you can do for yourself to help yourself.
Awesome. I love it. And where can they find that? What's your website?
So it's Lisa M. Coaching ABQ. The ABQ stands for Albuquerque. I couldn't get my name. I couldn't get Lisa Morgan. I couldn't get anything to do with my name. So Lisa M. Coaching
ABQ for
ABQ.
Albuquerque. Awesome. So one thing, if you don't mind me sharing, you said it's called an
Mm-hmm.
e-book, and that means that it's an electronic book. So I'm just going to go on a little bit
Right.
of a bandwagon here because this is what I do. I ghostwrite for people. I help people write and create books. And I want to say, if you've created an e-book, for example, the cookbook that I plugged at the beginning, right? The leftover turkey edition of uh, Less Cooking, More Eating. When you've taken the time to publish something, whether it's published as a PDF, whether it's published as a Kindle book, whether it is published as a full hardcover or paperback book, it still takes the time and it's still a book. So you can say, download a copy of my book. You don't have to subsequently tell everybody it's an ebook, like it's something less, because that's an accomplishment and I'm going to celebrate it with you.
Oh, you know what, Brenda? And I got to tell you, I just came across a coach that helps people
Uh-huh.
write their websites and all this stuff. And it was all the stuff about the ebook, and it should be short. It should be a checklist. It should be this. And I'm like, oh my God, mine is so long. I'm thinking, oh no, okay,
You could get so
whatever.
many different
But
types of
it is
advice from so
almost
many different people. If
maybe
it's of value to someone, then it's of
yeah,
value, right? And the truth is, if they're going to work with you and they don't have the attention span to go through that, then they might not be the right client. So if you want to add a checklist that's easier for someone, and if you're someone who's watching and you think you might want that, but it's a whole book, look at the table of contents. You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. So yeah,
skip and go to where you want to go
one
because
of the
there is a
first.
table of contents.
Well, I don't even know if it's one of the first, but yeah, probably one of the first certifications I ever received was on baby massage. I taught people how to massage their babies with what do you say? permission, right? The first thing you're doing
Baby
is you're
what?
teaching your
Oh,
baby that to have permission, right? You give them a little symbol. Are we gonna it's okay to massage, and they turn away. They're like, I don't want that. Then you don't do it. Okay, that was what I learned. But the thing that I want to point out right here is, well, there's two things. One is, I don't even remember which mentor taught me this, but done is always better than perfect. So if you've got something out there and maybe it's not the right thing, because I know that that's where your anxiety was right there. Oh, this person says I should have something shorter. The other thing I'm going to tell you is what I learned in that class when I teach people to massage their babies. There's one important thing you have to do for safety. Always go clockwise on the belly, never counterclockwise. But other than that, you can't mess it up, right? Oh my gosh, if we teach go from the head down to the toes and you start at the toes and go up, you are not messing up that child. So whatever you've done and you've done for the benefit of others, you can't mess it up. Do you agree with me, Lisa?
oh my God. You're such a godsend. I mean, that's so compassionate, loving, kind, warm, everything. It really, I mean, I'm not that anxious about that. I didn't have a checklist. It was just like, oh, it was just sort of like, but I love what you've said. And I love your, um,
Oh.
taking care of me
This
in this
is a
pajama party.
party.
Thank you
We're doing
very,
each other's hair and our nails, right?
Yeah. With a brush. With a brush.
With the brush. I'm glad you enjoyed that game. I might carry that one on for a few other things. It's a little bit mind bending, and you get really nervous. Oh my gosh, if I get it wrong, what happens if you get it wrong? Wow, the world has not. Okay, you had to get it wrong 4 times before you could get it right, and then we got it right. We celebrated. So, and that's a lot. Has a lot to do with
yeah.
businesses. And what I've noticed is a recurring theme from the people that I bring on here is the first thing that they did is not the thing that they've done for 25 years. That is the freedom of entrepreneurship, is we can shift as our own interests, our own persuasion, our own gumption, right?
Growth.
What was that? Our own
Growth.
growth.
Our
We get
growth.
to pivot and we get to continue that
Our
growing
growth.
thing as entrepreneurs. And one of the things, I don't know if you're familiar with this guy, Chris Corner, the Corner's office. He says something that just struck me as so freedom forming for my own business is you could just do things. You can just do things. You don't have to have a system or a step. And the truth is, so many people out there are telling you, stick to one thing, stick to one thing. And if I had done that, I would be on the streets broken. And that's a whole nother story. So pick something and do it. And if something else comes to mind, you can test that while you're doing something else. Now, I'm not telling everyone to just like do everything all at once because then nothing gets done. But nobody says you have to be one person. I'm a lady without a niche. Here I am. I'm a lady without a niche. Yeah.
You're so funny.
Yeah. Lisa, you are
Oh
such
gosh,
a
that's
pleasure
great.
to have here. I have one more question for you before we close the show. And that is, I ask, what is one thing you would tell something just thinking about starting something that would generate income outside of a job?
Do what you love and the money will follow. There's a book titled that, a coaching book, but honestly, it is all about being authentic to yourself. Like if you love it, if you've got the passion and it just juices you up, you're going to be successful. People are going to want to have some of that juice, no matter what it is, whatever shape or form it comes out of you. That's what we're here to do. That's what life is about. We are here to share our own unique version of love in this world. And if you can marry your career path or your ventures, your experiments with love, that you enjoy it and love it and just are lit up by it, then other people are going to want to participate. Absolutely. And pay
I
you for it.
could not agree more. I don't know if 20 seconds is enough to share the story, but the first $100 that I made had nothing to do with the thing that I was pitching. They went for the excitement that I shared and showed. So, yay. Thank you so much, Lisa. You have a wonderful month, and I hope we might see you again on the Party Profit Show. Wait, we might see you again on the Pajama Party Profit Show.
Thank you.